Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with another epically amazing weekend figure review. Today we are going over the Marvel Legends Havok Polaris 2-pack. And oh man, this was such a beautiful piece to get my hands on. Speaking of which, if you guys want to, I don't think this is a GameStop exclusive, but that's where I found mine, was at my local GameStop. So you may want to check and see if they have it in stock there. If not, it is available on Big Bad Toy Store and Megaopolis. So there's where you guys can get your figures. And as you can see here on the open window, you get all these cool little accessories with these figures, man. And I love that it's the X Factor era from Peter David, man. So if you guys have not read that series, absolutely phenomenal. So you see here, you get the beautiful X-Men here, Marvel's Polaris, Marvel's Havok, Marvel's 80 Years. You flip it around here to the side, and you get these cool little product shots of them, I believe, if you look at them here. And when you go back here on the back, I believe these are from the old trading cards. So I love that they did that. And that's one thing I miss about these trading cards, man. You get a really cool artist rendition, and then you kind of get some stats and like a quick run-up on the figures. So, you know, when I was younger and I didn't know a whole lot about the Marvel characters, other than like the immediate X-Men, these cards always kept me, you know, up to date. So I'll make sure to get a close-up of this where you guys can pause it and check out the Polaris and Havok one there. You flip it around to the side, you get that same really cool product shot. Flip around here. Here's the Lovebirds yet again. Go around here to the top. Love that nice little, I think that's called spot varnish, right? And then you kind of get this gradation X here with a nice big yellow X there, which is absolutely astounding to me. You flip around here to the bottom, all the legal stuff. Who cares? But what we do care about is this 2-pack awesome or not. So let's go ahead and open this up and get a closer look at our amazing 2-pack. And here's Havok and Polaris out of the packaging, and man, do these guys look absolutely gorgeous. You know, I kind of look at the designs that Hasbro chose for these figures, and it looks relatively close to the older figures, you know, the ones that got us excited about toys way back in the day. But now you look at these, and I like that Hasbro took those elements and turned it into a collector's figure. And that's exactly what these are. And they are stunning. I love some of the details. We'll get into those in a minute, but I just wanted to put them on the spinner and just enjoy looking at them like this. You know, you get Lorna up on a flying stand, you know, kind of get her into a cool flying pose. You get Alex down into his blasting mode with his effects, and oh, these are going to look absolutely great on a shelf, especially if you're trying to build an X Factor team, or if you just want to, in this design, put them up against their X-Men counterparts, you know, because if you have like the 90s Jim Lee and the Tiger Stripe Wolverine, oh man, these are going to look so great, because that was like, the early 90s was like one of the fever pitch points of the X-Men franchise. I remember that being all over the place, and that's when I got into it when I was a kid. So seeing these now as an adult, I'm so happy to have found these, and at a price point around, you know, $35, $40 for what you're getting for 2 figures. Yeah, no comparison, man. Perfect. These are ones that you're definitely want to have in your collection. But with that said, how about let's get these this couple off the spinner rack, and let's get a closer look at their accessories and their paint apps, their articulation, and just appreciate them for what they are. And to quickly go over the accessories, here's everything that Havok and Polaris come with. I appreciate that they gave both of their power sets different colors. So, you know, for Polaris, she gets the green, which really matches her green hair. And then I like the yellow because that matches Alex's X-Men X and his hair. So, you know, we've seen these effects several times on different figures when we pick these up. And, you know, they can get a little dull. But, you know, as long as you're being creative, you can always find cool ways to set these up. So, you know, nothing we haven't seen before. They're just the same energy rings, which I kind of wish when it comes to this that Hasbro would kind of give us some different power effects. Like if they're going to give us one like this, maybe give it to where like there's some that have, you know, like rippling power effects coming off of it. Kind of like, I think it's Dazzler that comes with a different special effect like that. And, you know, I had a Dazzler review up, and well, as I said, the club channel crashed. And so I will do another Dazzler review to kind of go over that. But as you can see, nothing different. but still cool nonetheless. I like the color choices, especially on this one where it has that deep green and it kind of goes to a lighter green. I kind of wish they would have done this with the same with the yellow, where they would have had a darker yellow or maybe a different color. Just something to kind of offset it. But nonetheless, those are those. So no complaints there. No complaints. And then a Polaris, which I think is cool, is, the ones that we saw, she has open hands. But as you can see here, she comes with a pair of closed fists, which is cool. You can get different poses, whatnot, make it look like she's fighting, or instead of using her open hands like she is, because, you make it look like she's doing with her powers, or if she's just straight up shooting them, which I kind of wish, since they did this for Polaris, I wish they would have done this for Alex, but, c'est la vie, it is what it is. But nonetheless, I always like when you can get some extra swappable hands, because nothing is more frustrating than when you get an action figure, they have accessories, and they have closed fists. It's like, well, what am I going to do now? Because they're basically set in stone like that forever. So, cool. I kind of wish we would have got the same treatment for Havok, but no complaints. No complaints, because I'm really happy with this set. And, Hasbro could have just given us, zero, accessories with this figure set. So nonetheless, I'm happy. The colors are great. We've seen the power things before. They get a little old, but nonetheless, as long as you're creative, you can find ways, you can stick them on Alex's chest or however you want to play with them. That's one of the best things about, being an older collector, is you can be a little more creative and get some really cool ideas for posing on your shelf or for toy photography. And so some backstory on our Merry Mutants here before we get into the paint apps. The first appearance of Havok was X-Men number 54, way back in the day of 1969. Now check this out. Polaris first appeared in X-Men 49 in 1968, but she didn't join the team until issue 60 in 1969. And they kind of became a thing during the Claremont era, and it was perfect, But a lot of tragic things happened to them throughout Claremont's run. And I think it was during, what was that called? The Extinction Agenda, I think is what it was called. They kind of got separated. Havok was working in Genosha to kind of help the mutant rights and all that stuff. However, at this point, Cyclops and Jean and the original 5 members of X-Men are the team of X-Factor. And Cyclops wants to give it over to Havok. He's reluctant. Lauren has already joined, has Strong Guy and Jamie Madrox. So Havok and Farrell join in issue X Factor number 70, and that's when Peter David's run launched, and that's where we got this look of them, because Havok always had that classic black look. Polaris always looked more kind of had like the Scarlet Witch look, kind of that green thing with the tiara and all that stuff. And I was really hesitant on that figure, but we'll go over that again. I did a review on it, but again, we're starting over, so that's neither here nor there. So with all that awesome backstory, let's go ahead and look at our 2 lovely figures here, and we'll go ahead and start with Ms. Polaris. And I have to say that I was a huge fan of Polaris's look like this. This is how I was first introduced to her in the 90s, because that's when all the belts and buckles and all that good stuff is when this started. And just looking at the paint apps, just like with the other figure, which we'll get into in the future, I love the attention to detail on the eyes. I love the greenness. I love that shiny green lipstick. That looks really nice. The hair is magnificent. I like the dark green with the dry brush of that kind of more lime green, you got the forest green for the hair, and then you got the highlights just really make it bounce. I love the X, and it really is a nice homage to that X Factor's run. I wish off the top of my head I can remember who was the artist. If you guys know, let me know down in the comments, because I'm just drawing a blank. I like that they actually made sure to keep an idea to functionality, so you can see the zipper. I like that the belt's loose, so you can position that how you want. And another thing, so she kind of has the same body mold as the Marvel Legends Storm, not the Mohawk one, but the 80th anniversary one. But what I appreciate, and we'll do Storm another time, but on the Storm, when you tilt her back like this for flying, there's actually a gap, and you can see the shaft that connects the body. So I'm really thankful that when they did this, that you can tilt this back and there's no gap. So that's very, very nice. I love the blue all the way through, just really nice and sleek. So you can see no problems on it whatsoever. Nice yellow. And I just love that X, man. That red on there. Yeah, awesome. And then, of course, the 90s shoulder pads. If you weren't, you know, around during the 90s, then you're missing something hilarious. I like, and again, 90s. I like the attention to the belt buckles on the arms. That's really cool. Same thing on the boots. The only thing that's frustrating, not so much on Polaris, but see how it kind of moves? That's okay. Because it's so tight on there that it's not really going to go anywhere. You see how it kind of moves just a little bit. But it's going to be fine. There's no problems on her whatsoever that I see. I can appreciate that very much. Now for Havok, again, this was the look of Havok that I was introduced to before I went back and saw his pure black suit that he had. So this one is still special to me. Like I have one of the older early X-Men toys where this looks just a lot like, you know, Hasbro took that design and they're like, hey, let's just expound upon it. And just right off the top, let me put his hand down, get out of the way. I don't know, I just always really liked the face mask that wraps all the way through. I thought that was always a really cool idea, even though it's gotta be hot. You know what I mean? Just same with like Cyclops' skull mask. I like the work on the blue eyes, really nice. Love the skin tone on both feathers characters. Really nice. I like that they actually popped his ears out. I like that he has kind of that dirty blonde hair. And then again, because this is the 90s, love the zippers just all the way through. Absolutely stunning. And they made sure to put the zipper pull right there. Really nice. Belt's really cool. Really, really good stuff. So moving right along down to the legs, you know, blue still looks really, really nice. Now, as I was talking about with Polaris, the same I'm talking about with Havok, is I do wish where these boot cuts are supposed to be, I suppose you want to call it, I wish that Hasbro would have went ahead and glued this down. And this is a problem, not with just with this, but with any of the Marvel Legends figures. Instead, it's like, why? Why would we do this and make these loose? That's really frustrating, because if this is supposed to be where the boot is supposed to be, then why make them loose? Because there's times where you'll set up your shot and then it's just like droopy drawers, just bloop, bloop, and you're like, stop it. So yeah, that's probably my only hang up. But as you can see, the blue paint apps all the right way around look really nice. And I like this dry brushing here on the coat to kind of just give it a differentiation here. And I like that because, you know, a lot of the coloring as they used to do with black hair is, you know, the color scheming of what they used to do. They used to give blue highlights to emphasize that the hair was black. And so this, you know, you don't want Havok to, in a comic book, to have just a complete black look. So they throw a little bit of blue in there to just kind of give it some reflection and whatnot. So yeah, the paint apps, really, really good. And I like, especially here in the coat, I really like all these attention to details on the fabric. Really nice, and almost make it look like it's stitched. That's really, really cool. And then of course for the X Factor, his trademark yellow X there on the chest looks absolutely great. And I gotta say, overall, I'm really happy with this 2-pack. No complaints here in terms of the paint apps. So with that said, now we've gotten to look at them a little bit up close. Let's take a closer look at the articulation. All right, so for Polaris, you can turn her head down about that much. And now here's the downfall, is because of this big hair, and this will be a problem with a lot of the figures, is you can't really get the head to look back, though I believe you can get a little bit of the, you know, the head motion. Let me get a focus on you guys. Let me just do that so blurry that you guys can't see it. But yeah, you can kind of tilt it that way, but nonetheless, even no matter how you try to tilt it, that's about as high up as you're going to get on the head, which is really frustrating. Though thankfully you get some really good swivel here. You can turn the head about that much. You know, it's pretty loose on the ball joint, so you can get some twists that way. Arms do spin 360. Thankful that they do give you, got a dinosaur look going on. I am a dinosaur. She does have double jointed elbows, so, you know, go Hasbro. Thank you so much for that. And then her arms do go up about that much, and then they can go the rest of the way depending on the joint here if you spin it up. So just so you guys know. Now she looks eerie, doesn't she? She's like, I'm gonna eat your brains. Now the hands do spin 360, bloop, 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 and then go down that far, that high, so you can kind of get a Michael Jackson look going on there. And she doesn't have the upper arms thing, so, you know, it is what it is. She doesn't have a traditional, what do you call it, torso thing where you can spin her. It's all done by here, which we talked about earlier, where I'm glad that they didn't give that gap. So you can twist her, you hear that roar, like joints popping, I know the feeling. About that much that way. About that much that way. And then with the ab crunch, you can go down about that much forward. And then a great ways backwards, of course, for flying. So very awesome. You can kick out, you know, tee-hee, that high forward. And about that far back. So really great range there. Love it. Legs can go out about that much. And then she does have the upper thigh cut, so get that going on. And that's it in terms of that. She doesn't have any boot cut there. Feet can go up that much and down that much. And you get some ankle pivot. Not too bad. Now, warning on this Polaris figure and on the original one that came with, what was it, the Juggernaut Build-A-Way figure series? Let me know down in the comments. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I can't remember which foot it was, but one of these, for some reason on both figures, is going to be cockeyed like outwards like that. So let me give you a little bit of advice here and do this at your own risk, because I do not want you to burn yourself or hurt yourself or ruin your figure. But if you've tried it and you're kind of comfortable with what I'm talking about, I use a space heater. Some people say use a hair dryer or boiling water. So I put her foot under the space heater for a little while until this got nice and flappy. And I was able to fix the pivoting problem and get her foot straight. So if you're comfortable doing that, there's a little tip from me to you. So that is the articulation on Polaris. Now let's get over to Mr. Summers. So, you know, he's kind of more the traditional look here, so you're going to kind of get some of the more basic stuff. So, great motion down. Even with his jacket, you can still look up pretty good. Good range of motion that way, and of course his coat stops him from going 360, so we don't have to worry about him going crazy and spooky. Arms can 360, which is great. They can come up this much, and then if you spin that joint up, you can go all the way up. He does have that upper arm, so you can get a nice 360 spin there. It does have double jointed elbows, so whoop whoop, so you can kind of get that fighting thing, like, what are you looking at, wise guy? And then the wrists do spin 360, and then go up that much and down that much. I do kind of wish that they would have maybe made this separation here black, because that looks a little off to me, you know what I mean? Just like all of a sudden it's just changing colors, and it just kind of really throws that part of it off. So it is what it is. Torso that way, torso that way, ab crunch sort of that way with the coat, sort of that way with the back, so not too bad there. Mr. Man can kick that far forward and that far back, so not too bad on the leg articulation there. Legs can go out that much. Does have the upper thigh cut, so bloop, bloop, and see what I mean? Just by doing a review, those are slipping. He does have the boot cut, so you can kind of get that craziness going on. So lots of articulation on the leg there. Kind of get him all back to normal here. He's like, what have you done to me? He does have double jointed knees. Ow. Disregard the noise, folks. Feet can go up that much, can go down that much. And then he does have the pivoting. So whoop, 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 awesome. So yeah, that's the articulation. I did forget on Polaris, so Havok, stay. I did forget to say that with Polaris, she does have double jointed knees as well. So heck yeah. Lots of great articulation on these characters, so you're not going to have a problem posing these guys. They are going to look absolutely great. So I'm thankful that I got this X Factor set. They look so awesome. So for some side-by-sides here, we have the Marvel Legends, what is that called? The Warlock Build-A-Figure Wave Polaris, and this is the Marvel Legends Juggernaut Build-A-Figure Wave Havok. And as you can see, the stark contrast between them. Now, what I do like is that they're kind of keeping the same height. So I think Havok stands somewhere between 6, 6.5, and I think they hit at 6 or 6.25. Like I said, I don't want to bring out the tape measure and start getting into all that. If you guys know the specifics of it, go for it. If not, let's just sit here and enjoy that we have two different generations of our favorite Merry Mutants. Now, like I said, I grew up with the X Factor look, and so when I went back and started reading the older Claremont stuff when I was younger, it took me a long time to get into the looks of these. Now, I wish with this Havok they would have given him where his helmet used to have the big rings around it. This one in particular is from the Rick Remeter's Uncanny Avengers look, which is relatively close to his original look. So I can't complain too much about that there. But yeah, I love having these side by side, and I love having the options of being able to pose both generations. And I like that they each, like, Lorna's here is kind of more of a lime green. Then she kind of gets into a dark green. Got that nice blue that matches Havok's chest there. And the same thing with this one where, he's got the yellow and it matches his yellow chest. Just, yes! But let's go ahead and, for the funsies, throw one more into the mix that I still have from my childhood. So, oh boy. This one, I'm going to focus on this bad boy. If I looked him up right, because I don't have the box, sadly. I just have the accessories and him. This is the 1995 Toy Biz X-Men Invasion Series Havok. And man, I remember growing up, this was my favorite Havok because it had the X Factor look. And like I was talking about here, see how he kind of has, how it seems like Hasbro took the idea. But as you can see, that on this one, they gave him such an exaggerated, epic looking chest. You're just kind of like, oh my God. But what I always liked is he comes with these little plasma energies, and you can put them in his wrist, and boom, he throws them. And I love that my guy still works. So yeah, such a great option here. You could tell that he's a lot smaller because the older figures are always a little bit smaller. I think he's probably somewhere around 5 inches or whatnot. So yeah, he doesn't scale real well, but there's no way I'm ever going to get rid of that Havok, because if you look at the paint apps here, I like that they took the design so you still kind of get the zipper look here, and you have it there as well. So yeah, just my childhood right here on camera. Absolutely love it, guys, and I would love to hear your thoughts on how these scale together and what you think about it. And so, guys, I have to say I absolutely loved this 80th anniversary 2-pack. It definitely captures the essence of these characters from the pages of X Factor. If y'all never read the 90s run, oh man, that was such a smart written comic book. And a lot of these newer books, you don't see that anymore. And just to see, that's one thing I love about figures is you get that visual, tangible representation in your hands, and it just brings you back. And again, there's that nostalgia factor for us longtime collectors, and be able to try to recreate poses. And these two just, oh man, the attention to detail on the coats, Polaris's hair, the uniforms, just so much great stuff that you all can do with these figures. So before we go, please make sure, guys, to stick around. I will have a photo slideshow at the end of the review with some really great poses of these characters. And if you've enjoyed this review, We definitely appreciate it if you take a minute to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know, especially since we had to restart the channel and we're back to, lower subscribers, so it's like sad. But we will get there. We shall persevere. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys can get notified. Come to the channel, and we love to have a dialogue with y'all and hear your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, thank you all so much for coming by, and I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.